All those poor rackets. They never stood a chance. Hey everybody, welcome to Mainely Movies. Today I'm going to be talking about the 2024 romantic sports drama, Challengers. If you're new here, please consider subscribing for a variety of movie-related content like reviews, rank lists, and trailer reactions. All my reviews include a breakdown of the pros and cons, my rating, and some tailored film recommendations, so be sure to watch through to the end of this video for all of that extra content. Challengers stars Zendaya, Mike Faist, and Josh O'Connor, and was directed by Luca Guadagnino. It tells the story of two tennis pros, former best friends Art and Patrick, who find themselves playing each other at a Challengers tournament while contending with a love triangle that began 13 years earlier. Sometimes sports movies are actually about sports, about a player or team overcoming the odds, about an important game or an unbelievable season. Other times, sports movies are really about everything happening off the field, off the court, off the pitch. The sport is just a means of telling the story and an excuse to put characters together. Challengers is a perfect example of the latter type of sports movie. Tennis fans will appreciate the matches, but an understanding of the game, or even an interest in the game, is not necessary for enjoying this film, because it's not really about tennis. It's about people, and more specifically, about relationships. One of the film's central theses is that tennis isn't just a game, but rather that it's a conversation, a connection between people, a relationship. And this film takes that idea and runs with it, exploring the friendship turned love triangle among three tennis players across more than a decade of their lives. The film opens with a tennis match, but this isn't some exciting US Open match or a tournament being played on some grand stage. It's just a low-level challenger tournament in New Rochelle, sponsored by Phil's Tire Town. But this tournament, and specifically this finals match, becomes the backbone of the film, around which everything else is structured. At the beginning of this movie, we don't know who any of these characters are, and perhaps more importantly, who they are to each other. But by the time we reach the end of the film and the end of the tennis match, all has been revealed, and we have a full sense of the context of this match and of the relationship dynamics on display. Challengers is a non-linear story, jumping across 13 years of time to dole out specific pieces of information and context in a precise and controlled manner. The time-jumping narrative can be a bit much at times, and does require the audience's attention. The big year jumps work, and are easy enough to stay on top of thanks to context clues like hairstyles and tournament banners. However, the smaller day or week jumps sometimes feel a bit unnecessary and even indulgent. Despite that though, the non-linear presentation of the story works well. Each time we come back to the Challengers match in New Rochelle, we know a little bit more about the characters, their relationships, and the overall situation. As a result, we're able to notice different things each time. Glances between characters, subtle changes in body language. It changes the context of what we're seeing a little bit every time, until the match we're watching doesn't even feel like the same match that we started with at the beginning of the film. A movie about tennis that's really about relationships is, unsurprisingly, heavily dependent on characters. At its core, Challengers is a character study, but one that's only partially successfully realized. On one hand, this is a steamy tale of desire, power, manipulation, and competition. All three characters have palpable chemistry with one another, and the sexual tension is so thick you can barely wade your way through back to the court. But on the other hand, there's very little to these characters besides that tension and the drama of their relationship. We see each of them across 13 years, but none of them actually change. There's no character growth or development. There's certainly something entertaining about watching Tashi continually pit Art and Patrick against each other for her own amusement, but it's kind of underwhelming from a storytelling and script perspective. I think the most frustrating aspect of it is that there's potential for something interesting and meaningful there, especially regarding Tashi's goals, changed life trajectory, and vicarious living. But it's never really focused on or expanded upon. What we do get is fun to watch, but ends up being much more underdeveloped than it feels like it's gonna be. Challengers feels lighter and more accessible than Guadagnino's typical films, but it's still just as interesting to watch and experience. It's a very stylish film. It definitely helps that it's a steamy movie focusing on sweaty, attractive people, but it's also shot in a way that makes it easy to forget the narrative thinness. There are plenty of exciting, stylized tennis sequences throughout this movie, and even though they're not necessarily the most realistic tennis matches put to film, there's a unique visual flair to their presentation. Some of the choices here do feel a bit gimmicky, because they're each only used once, but this is a movie that really plays with different perspectives, and looks pretty damn cool doing so. There's one tennis scene, for instance, where it appears as though the ball's being hit repeatedly directly at the camera, in a way that would have been ripe for a 3D release back in the day. There's another tennis sequence that's viewed from below, almost as if we're watching the match up through a glass court. We get a scene where we're viewing a match from the first-person perspective of the players, and then there's even a frenetic rally where the perspective shifts to the point of view of the ball, with the camera wildly spinning and turning as it's volleyed back and forth over the net. Even off the court, the film maintains its stylish flair, propelled by a memorable and driving electronic score by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. The score threatens to overpower the film at times, but manages to keep things sexy and cool throughout. The movie doesn't exactly serve up what the trailers hinted at, but manipulation is the name of the game here. So even with a few faults, I think this movie's gonna end up being remembered as an ace by Guadagnino. Alright, let's talk about the pros and cons. The biggest pro is the structure. I'll admit that early on in the film, I initially had this aspect pegged as a cons contender, so I can definitely understand anybody who dislikes the nonlinear structure here. It felt needlessly jumpy at first, and there were way too many on-screen time indicator titles, but once the film settled in a bit, I really grew to appreciate the structure. Everything's built around a single tennis match, with the rest of the story, all past events, being intercut throughout the match. It's a straightforward enough relationship story that it could have been presented linearly, but I'm not sure it would have worked as well. By modulating our information intake in such a controlled way, the structure forces us through a series of recontextualizations as the movie's central tennis match proceeds, giving the story more emotional complexity than it otherwise would have had. The second pro is how stylish the film is. This is another aspect of the movie not without its faults. The stylization can sometimes feel a bit gimmicky at times, and a bit like an overproduced story crutch at others, but more often than not, it works. The tennis matches featured throughout the film are shot in an exciting manner, with engaging camera movements and some unique perspective-shifting techniques, even giving us a glimpse of the tennis ball's point of view at one point. The off-court moments aren't quite as visually kinetic, however, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross's propulsive score drives the story with a sexy coolness that prevents the drama from ever devolving into melodrama. On the con side, the biggest issue is the character depth, or more accurately, the lack thereof. This is a three-character story, though the bulk of the character focus falls to Art and Patrick. Tashi plays a large role in the story, and is certainly a main character, but her story purpose is largely one of catalysis. She's the manipulative object of affection who continually pushes the other two characters to up their games. When viewed in the context of their tumultuous, intertwined relationship, Tashi, Art, and Patrick are all interesting to watch, with excellent steamy chemistry. But apart from their conflicts and codependency, there's not much to any of them. No character growth or development, no arcs. There are a few potentially interesting things that never get expanded on, especially for Tashi, but they're all frustratingly underdeveloped as characters. Before I give you my rating and recommendations, I want to remind you that if you're interested in buying Challengers or any of the other films I mentioned today, I do have affiliate links for all of them in the description below. I get a small commission from anything you buy using one of my links, so I'd really appreciate it if you'd use them if you're in the market for any of these movies. I'm gonna give Challengers 4 out of 5 paws. The non-linear structure takes some getting used to, and the characters are a bit underdeveloped outside of their relationships, but this is a stylish and sexy tennis story that's most certainly an enjoyable watch. I would recommend Challengers to people who like relationship sports dramas. The tennis is fun and plentiful here, but it's certainly not the real focus. So if you're not big on tennis, have no fear. This is a movie more about the characters and their tumultuous and intertwined relationships. That said, if you're looking for some real character depth, this will probably leave you a little underwhelmed. But if you just want to watch some sweaty, attractive people play tennis and manipulative mind games, then this will definitely deliver. If you liked Challengers, I would recommend Y Tu Mamá También. No tennis in this one, but this is a very affecting film about two teenage best friends who find themselves in a love triangle during a brief road trip that alters the nature of their friendship. It's another film with plenty of sexual tension, though this also is more blatantly erotic than Challengers. If you'd like another movie about two friends in love with the same woman, you'll want to check out Truffaut's Jules and Jim. This French New Wave romantic drama has far less tension, but ups the emotion, as the two men contend with the ever-shifting dynamics of their relationship with each other and their mutual love. If you'd prefer to stick with a sports romance, you might want to check out Bull Durham. Tennis is substituted for baseball here, but like Challengers, this is a sports movie that's not really about the sport, instead using it as a means of exploring relationship dynamics. Alright, a couple questions for you guys. Number 1, have you seen Challengers? If so, what'd you think of it? And number 2, what's your favorite sports movie that's not really about sports? Be sure to leave your answers in the comments below so we can get a discussion going. Alright, so if you got some enjoyment, insight, or information on this review, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe or at it to see more videos like this. Till next time, this has been Alyssa with Mainly Movies, the way life should be.